Hey everyone, Derek here, and what you're about to hear is one of the topics from episode 8 of our Real Talk podcast, which goes up every Monday. Now, if you'd like to listen to the entire podcast, click on the iTunes or SoundCloud links in the description. And if you back us on Patreon, you can listen to our entire podcast 3 days early every Friday. With all that said, let's get to the topic on hand. All right, I chose one from Alejandro Guzman, one of our patrons, of course. He says, a lot of reasons have been cited as to why the Wii U was a commercial failure. However, I think it's the lack of compelling games at launch, and even throughout its first year, doesn't get as much focus as others. So my question is, what do you guys think we could reasonably expect to see at launch with the NX that would get people excited and bring a large audience back to gaming on a Nintendo console? Basically, it's like, what kind of launch window are we looking at? And, you know, Zelda NX is going to be the big one. It's going to be a lot like Wii. Even though Twilight Princess on Wii, I don't think it was one of the best-selling games on that system, but it's still a great launch title to get hardcore Zelda fans.
I think it sold really well, actually.
I think it sold well, but I don't think it was like one of the top 5 or anything like that. It
didn't have Wii or Me in the name, so
that is true. But yeah, having a Zelda at launch is going to be huge, because the thing is, hardcore gamers, that's going to get you to buy the system. Yeah, they could play it on the Wii U, and people are still going to play it on the Wii U if it's available for both. But having like that, I mean, for people like us, that's an immediate upgrade to get the best experience for Zelda, Wii U or NX. As far as beyond that, we've heard a lot of rumors about stuff that they've been working on behind the scenes. I mean, Pikmin 4 is something they've been tossed around that they might, we could reasonably see. And
they've confirmed they're working on it. So
yeah.
The fact it hasn't been announced for Wii U yet probably means it is an X title.
Yeah, there's that, and the fact that I guarantee they're working hard on the next Splatoon. And, even beyond that, there's like, you can tell with how much they've wound down. And I think they really are focusing on having a really good launch lineup for the NX, and I think that's going to be key. It's whether or not they can get people beyond the hardcore into that, and hopefully with the system itself is able to do that. It's impossible to say since we know so little hard facts about the NX.
That's true, but Derek, still being kind of vague here. So what do you think they need specifically to make the NX a success at launch?
Oh God, a killer. I mean, that's the thing that's always thrown around, a killer app. And do you think? I guess I'll turn the question back on you guys. Do you think Zelda NX would be enough of a killer app to sell people on the NX?
No, it wouldn't be. I think actually, you want Tom? You want to go first? So I feel like I've been talking a lot this podcast for whatever reason. So
I'd say no, because everyone already expects it already, and it would be coming out on Wii U at the same time, so you get kind of a divided audience, I believe. Let's say for me, a killer app. How about actually having a real Mario game? For many people, it would be the type of game like a Metal Gear, but you won't get that because Kojima is working with Sony on that. At least Metal Gear always got me to buy a PlayStation. So I would say an actual... So you need something big like a real Mario, or you need an actual third-party game, not a third-party game that came out a year before on other consoles. Like Bayonetta, that wasn't enough on Wii U. I guess you need something more mainstream. I don't know if that rumor about Beyond Good and Evil 2, that I know we'd all be excited for that, but I don't know if that's enough for people, because that game the first one didn't actually sell that well. So
yeah,
is it as simple as getting Call of Duty? I don't know.
No, I highly doubt if they got Call of Duty, it would not bring them over. They need something wholly unique, and I'm not sure if a third party would be well enough to do it, because remember, everybody got excited for that Red Steel from Ubisoft,
right?
Yeah,
on the Wii, and I'm not sure how well that actually sold. I think if barring a killer app, having about 3 to 5 really solid, interesting looking games would do it. So having like Zelda plus Pikmin 4 plus, let's go crazy and say F-Zero NX,
Smash Bros. NX.
Smash Bros. NX, those type of things. A Splatoon. Splatoon, actually, I think Splatoon 2 might be a huge killer app for it.
It would be. There's no way it's coming at launch.
Oh, no, there's no way it could be a launch. Maybe at the end of first year or beginning of second, but definitely not launch. But I think barring one solid killer app, 3 to 5 really good games, I think, could be the selling point.
Well, it sounds like you're basically describing the GameCube lineup.
Yep.
But that console actually had a pretty strong lineup. It had Luigi's Mansion. It had Rogue Leader. It had
Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers came right just after launch. So did Pikmin. And then it also had it had some decent third party support out of the gate too. I guess
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, it had Tony Hawk. It had Super Monkey Ball, which actually it's almost easy to forget now. It was popular at one time.
Yeah,
really popular. So I think the main issue then, not even that big of an issue really, but I think something they would want to improve on is I think they would want to combine that with the Wii Caliber launch. Because the GameCube launch didn't really have a killer app, at least from a first party perspective. I think Rogue Leader was the closest thing. Oh, my phone's ringing for whatever reason. One sec. I think Rogue Leader was the closest thing to a killer app, which wasn't first party. Because Luigi's Mansion, although I really enjoyed it, I don't think it was quite up to the caliber of its normal first-party.
People also didn't know what to think of it because it was so out of nowhere, and people were so used to having a Mario at launch. There's also the other reason that GameCube might not have done as well is that I believe Sony had a year head start on them at the time, and the major thing that they had was a DVD player. Yeah. Having a cheap DVD player available as well as being able to play games, that sold it. That gave Sony the lead, and with Nintendo being so proprietary and not wanting to let things get pirated or whatever, that just they couldn't compete in that way, and so all the third parties and everything, all the support went to Sony.
Right. Yeah.
And even if the GameCube had a black one, everyone saw the purple one that looked like a toy. So that didn't help my friends who were all around 20 at that time, anyway.
Yeah. It was definitely a bit. There were a lot of factors involved in the GameCube's problematic life.
Yeah.
Which, in hindsight, it doesn't seem so problematic compared to the Wii U now.
Did pretty good.
Yep. As I recall, I think it actually had a very strong launch out of the gate. If I remember correctly, I think it actually did fine early on. It's only later when it ran into issues. But I think, thinking about this, like now that Zelda really does seem to be truly an NX title as well, I do wonder if they might really try to recapture something along the lines of the Wii launch, which obviously did fantastic for them, where Zelda will serve as, because they had Twilight Princess on the Wii, of course. So I think Zelda NX could serve as their hardcore title, or one of their hardcore titles to really pull in at least their hardcore fans, and maybe some people outside that range as well who just like Zelda. But Zelda can turn heads, especially from what we've seen from the Wii U. It has potential to be a really killer app, even if it does mostly still speak to the choir. Outside of that, they may try to capture a Wii Sports-like demographic. Maybe not to the same vein. I think Nintendo will. I don't think Nintendo's going to target the casual market like they have before. But if they can make an app along those lines that truly showcases what the NX is capable of as a platform, assuming it does something unique, I think that will be very important. Like to have their Wii Sports that showcases what the system can do. I think that'll be good. And then the Wii as well had had Excite Truck, which although I believe it did sell modestly, relatively well at the time. Just another game to help support that launch, another first-party game that can attract some people, that may not typically, that doesn't cater specifically to existing fan bases. That one was a brand new IP, kind of. It was based on the Excite Bike engine or Excite Bike license, but who really cared or knew about that? So yeah, I think having a supporting title at launch from Nintendo, at least, with maybe an additional one, plus whoever third-party support they can pick up. Yeah, I think they really just need something that a variety of titles that reaches different demographics. So I think having Zelda as a foundation would be great, while building around that would be fantastic. Like, with Smash, as you mentioned, would be huge. If not that, Pikmin 4 would be a fantastic supporting title, I think.
Because when most people go to buy a new console, you don't get just one game. You typically get about 2 or 3.
Exactly, that's true.
Yeah.
And I would love for there to be a Mario launched game. I don't think there will be, though, because I don't think they want Zelda and Mario going at each other, at least on day one. Maybe I could see within the launch window, maybe depending on when they launch NX early enough with Zelda NX, maybe I could see Mario coming in for holidays, or maybe reverse. Maybe Zelda will be a later, like, December title with a Mario as a launch game. That would be nuts. But a 1-2 punch could be freaking amazing. So, now here's a question though. I do wonder if Nintendo might think twice about having Mario as a launch title after having Mario as a launch title for the Wii U, and we all know how the Wii U turned out. So
that wasn't a real Mario.
Yeah, okay, exactly. That's my thing too. But I wonder how Nintendo perceives it though. Maybe they think that actually is indicative of how a Mario title would handle the launch title.
I mean, if you look at the casual audience thinks, well, I already have a new Super Mario Brothers on my Wii. Why do I need the U version? Because the other thing that kind of shot the Wii U in the foot was that nobody realized that was a different system. A lot of people thought that it was just a gamepad as an add-on to the Wii. So there was this consumer confusion that was going on as well. And, why do I need to get a new Super Mario Brothers U when I already have new Super Mario Brothers Wii? Having an actual true... Yeah, they don't sell as well as the 2D Marios, but having a 3D Mario, traditional 3D Mario, not 3D World type Mario, I think that would be enough to really turn some heads.
That would be huge. For two reasons. It's been a long time since we've had a true Mario launch title, but ignoring the new Super Mario Brothers games, I really don't count those. No. Secondly, if they had any kind of return to form of the 3D, like the old school 3D Marios, like 64 or
Going Up Mountains,
or Sunshine, exactly. As much as that pains me to say, but I think that a lot of people will be excited about that, especially people who grew up with maybe those older games that maybe haven't fully kept up with the more recent Nintendo systems. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's hard to say how much of a market there really is for modern 3D Marios, but original 3D Marios, I should say. But based on the feedback we've seen for some of these indie titles coming up, such as Ukulele,
Hat in Time, all that type of stuff, there's a demand for the classic 3D platformers.
Exactly. So, yeah, that could be huge. Or, maybe even, I'd be even happy with Galaxy 3, although I would personally prefer a throwback to the original 3D Marios. I love the Galaxy games too, and I think there's still more potential for those to live up, or for those to deliver on. So,
and there's even ways that they could just combine those concepts, where they have certain levels be more open, and other ones that you actually have to go along a path, and just change it up that way. I mean, there's so much they could do, and that's the funny thing is I do think, because it's been so long, a true 3D Mario title could be the kick in the pants that they need out of the gate, at least.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So, do you think they might have a 3D Mario and a Zelda that close to each other? Because the thing we know is Zelda has to come this year, but they've promised it numerous times this year on Wii U. I mean, yes, they could delay it again, but there will be so much backlash. Which basically means an NX version will also have to come this year. So, do you think they have both that and Mario within such close proximity?
It's not out of the question. Sorry, Tom.
No problem. I'll go next.
It's not out of the question because look how often Nintendo releases the two games on the same date anyway.
That's true. They've had Mario. They had Mario and Zelda literally on the same day before with 3D World and the Link Between Worlds.
Exactly.
I think more would be if one was at launch before Christmas. Maybe they would wait more until March to pull the system in through what is often a huge drought, falling in the early year afterwards. I don't think they would actually release them that close together. I think they would hold off and maybe put what would be perceived as a weaker game in there, though. Despite how awesome it would be to have two of them.
A Wii game? Oh man, this isn't good. This is not good. I mean, that's the thing. Nintendo's always had problems supporting their two systems at once. Rather more specifically, maintaining a consistent release schedule for both of their systems. And I do wonder if they'd want to blow two of their biggest loads at the same time.
Get your 3DS games while you can.
Yeah.
But if they want to ensure a strong launch, that'd be one way to do it. And maybe they've managed proper proper game scheduling this time, especially if these games are cross-system compatible, and if you are able to use, like if they maybe are unifying their how they, their two different ecosystems, maybe that'll be less of an issue moving forward.
Maybe they'll just. No, I was gonna say maybe they'll just fool us all and have Mario cross Link.
There you go.
Have them both in one game.
Now here's the thing. Do you think that they'd pull out Retro and whatever they're working on for launch? Do you think that if it's, let's say it's Metroid Prime 4 or something like that, lines, do you think that would be big enough to draw in people?
That is a tough question. I mean, it depends entirely on what it is. Metroid Prime 4, I don't know. I feel like that's almost feel like that's speaking to an audience very similar to what Zelda Wii U would.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be the best choice for a launch title. I think Mario would have a wider range.
Oh, it totally would. But as far as a hardcore game, the game for hardcore people, especially after the backlash against Federation Force.
I'm going to put it this way: if there is a retro title at launch, which there very well could be, but it has been a while since we've heard from Retro, and I think rumor is, or word is, that they have multiple teams now within Retro. So they may have been working on the game even from well before Tropical Freeze's release. If we see something from Retro at launch, I don't think it would be a Metroid or Donkey Kong game. It might be something entirely new, or at least something new for them. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm throwing out there. If there's a Retro game at launch, I think it'll be something new from them. If it comes later, it might just be another Donkey Kong or Metroid, which I potentially would be fine with as well. There's so many unknowns.
There really is. Oh my god.
Yep.
It really does feel like you always hit a brick wall when trying to figure out anything about the NX. But anyway, if you want to listen to the entire podcast, again, please check out the links in the description either on SoundCloud or iTunes. We post these every Monday for everyone, or 3 days early for Patreon backers. Thanks for watching, and of course stay tuned to Game Explained for more on the NX and other things gaming. Until next time, guys. Bye.